Hey, we're late.
Yeah.
Good morning. Help me with this affirmation. Together. In one spirit, we see God everywhere, in everyone, and in everything. All right. So, what's a good name?
I wrote my fourth, finished my fourth, and went over my fourth.
Excellent.
5 years of no smoking today.
All right.
I feel like that's been a heck of an accomplishment.
Yes.
Yes, God, when you say it, I'm so glad.
But you can have that too. Just say no. No.
I haven't smoked since I
Just say no to the first one.
Love
It's easier after that.
I delivered my 8th stuff on Friday.
Oh, very nice.
I celebrated 8 years on Friday.
Oh. Okay. Anyone need to be added to the prayer list besides everyone and their mama? That's what it says.
Sorry.
These people.
Okay.
These people and Tony.
Who's Buddha? Think he's on his last run.
Oh, okay.
Eric?
You know something I don't know? All right. Okay, well, let's get quiet. We'll do this affirmation. Just relax right where you're at. Relax, release, and let go. Focusing on the breath, relax the body. Just allow any tension to flow out and away. Ease your mind by releasing any worries or concerns. Set the spirit free by letting go of any grievances. Say to yourself, I am relating. I am relating to life. The web of life connects you to the rest of life. Within that circuit of light, you are already whole and complete. Being an integral part of creation, you cannot be otherwise. all about the relationship. And this can be a day for reflection on the value of our brothers and sisters. In the past, you may have believed that you needed certain of them to act in such a way that would make you feel better. You may have thought that you had to keep people in their various roles. This is kind of like putting people on the shelf. When we want them, we take them down from there and play with them, and then put them back when we're done. This will never be truly satisfying. So right now, in this moment, allow the Spirit to inform the body. See God everywhere. Extend love to everyone. Extend love to life and communicate nothing else. We say amen and amen. Someone has adjusted my chair. Okay. Guilty. Did you get the text?
Yes, we did.
Guilty as charged. Saw the sign outside, right? Not guilty. So I'll tell you a recurring dream. Some of you heard the story before, but that's okay. You need to hear it again, so shut up. My recurring dream. I seldom have it anymore, but I used to have it quite a bit. I dreamed that I'm going to court. Some of you may have also had that dream. And then found out it wasn't. So I'm going to court. And I go in the courtroom, and I see my attorney sitting up there at the table, and it's me. And I look over on the other side, and there's the prosecutor. It's me. The judge comes in, and it's me. They seat 12 jurors, they're all me. And then I turn around and look back in the gallery, and the whole room is full of family and friends. The proceedings begin. Now, it's not always exactly the same, but the theme is always the same. The proceedings begin,
It's a nightmare.
and my defense attorney, after hearing the charges against me, makes up all sorts of justifications and rationalizations. And then the prosecutor comes in and tells all of the stuff that I thought was secret. Tells it in open court. It doesn't take the jury long to find me guilty. And the judge then sentences me to an indeterminate time in the cell under the jail. And they take me down there. And for some reason, they allow my family and friends to follow. And they put me in this cell. And a door slams shut. And there's this little tiny window about this big. It's all dark in there, but there's this little tiny window like about this big. And I look out there and I see the people. Everyone who cares about me standing out there. And they say, come out. Come out. And I say, I can't. I don't know. I can't find the key. And my dead mother, it's a dream, okay? My dead mother says, the key is in your heart. Somehow, I'm able to get it out of there. And I open the door, and it swings out, and all this light comes flooding in, and they're saying, come out, come out. And I take a step, and I trip over the threshold. And I'm falling in slow motion. But you catch me. You catch me. And you bear me up into the light. Not guilty. All of the things that you have in your mind that you think is a secret, by the way. Minds are joined. It's not a secret. At some level, we all know all the secrets. I know. It's disturbing. It's uncomfortable. Because it's the very reason, right? We want to keep it secret is because it's uncomfortable. We don't want anybody to know. But at some level, everybody, and here's the thing, that at the level that everybody knows, nobody cares. Because everybody knows that this is all, at that level of knowing, everybody also knows that this is all just an illusion, that this material world is just an illusion. And yes, it is a conspiracy. But you're in it. And this is really important for us to understand that we are participating in this whole thing at all these different various levels. We are participating in keeping this illusion going. We are conspiring together to keep the world as a place where we feel guilty and then we project our guilt onto others. Alternately, we say, and this is the ego just flip-flops back and forth, we say, it's not my fault. And then very quickly we say, it's all my fault. It's not my fault. It's all my fault. It's not my fault. It's all my fault. And we keep flip-flopping back and forth. Well, no wonder we're confused. Because the ego is just spending all of its time trying to keep this thing going. And it's a total distraction. Because if it wasn't for this guilt that we then immediately turn around and project onto others, the illusion would become very thin very quickly. So the whole idea is guilt is the defense against the truth. So you may have heard sometime when you may have been in court, or maybe it was just a dream, that the truth was the thing that made you guilty. What I'm telling you this morning is the truth is the thing that makes you not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. So we've got a list. Some of us have been in one program or another where they actually had us write down all of these things that we were guilty about. I remember a time when I realized that that's what that step said, was that I was going to need to write down all these things that that I felt made me less than, all these things that I felt made me undesirable, unlovable, unacceptable. Then I thought, oh, I'm not doing that. Well, the first problem was I really didn't have a clear idea in my mind of what it was that I was feeling guilty about. I just knew I was feeling guilty. And every time I got the opportunity, of course, I want to throw that onto you because it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to walk around with conscious guilt. So we have to look, and sometimes it's not that we just try to blame somebody else for our troubles. Sometimes it's just convenient that we just blame someone else for somebody else's trouble. Any kind of focus that can take it off of our personal feeling of guilt and onto somebody else, the news will do. Any bad thing that happens in the world, if we can find someone to blame, that will do. That takes the burden off of us. We can put that focus. Any story that we read or hear about, or someone just comes and tells us some gossip, and we can say, oh my God, I would never do anything like that. How could they do that? I can't believe that she did that. All of that, that's just a covering over the guilt that we carry around. Now, this is not to say that when we see something that's unacceptable or looks dangerous in the world that we shouldn't, I'm not saying we stand in front of an oncoming train, okay? I'm not saying that because it's all an illusion that we ignore it in the material world to the extent that it causes damage to the body or even emotional damage. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that we need to understand what's really going on. That it's just a scenario. It's just a scene from a movie. Now, it's okay to want the movie to turn out well. It's okay to want some kind of happy ending to the movie. This is what I saw one of Ken Wapnick's videos, and the woman in the workshop was saying, well, okay, it's a movie. She says it's a movie, but when the movie ends, does that mean I'm dead? And he says, well, what happens when you go to the movie? When you go to the movie now, the movie ends, what do? You get up and you go home. Maybe you go to another movie. So the movie's over, something else is going to happen. You can think about it any way you want. I mean, you can think whatever belief system that you're comfortable with. I'm not trying to change that. I'd just really like you to consider some of these other ideas because this will fit. This will fit into just about any belief system. What I'm saying is that this guilt is apparently about the things you've done in your life. But more than that, what we don't realize, what we don't understand, is that this guilt is at a level that we really are not conscious of. If we go to the deepest level of guilt, we have this guilt over the fact that we left God. We don't consciously think that. And the first time I heard it, I said, I don't have any guilt about that. That doesn't make me feel bad at all. But this is the ultimate place. It's not just that we left God. It's actually that we then became in opposition to God with this idea of separation. And here's why. Because if everything was one, in the beginning, if you just think about the symbolism of the Garden of Eden story again. I use it all the time because it's important. It's the seminal event. This Garden of Eden story, where the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil is consumed. And all of a sudden, Adam and Eve, that's us, realize or think that they're separate from God. And not just separate from God, separate from the life that they knew before. Because what happens? All of a sudden, the ground's not giving up its fruits like it did before. All of a sudden, the animals are in opposition to them. All of a sudden, they think they need to hide from God. So before that was harmony. Remember, it's just a story. It's just a story to illustrate what happens in our mind. So all of a sudden, after this occurs and we eat the fruit, we are not in harmony anymore. We are not in unity. Whereas before, all was one, and to my way of thinking, all was one in God. Again, you don't have to believe that, but this is what I'm presenting today. Maybe next week you can present something. So all is one in God, and then all of a sudden we eat this fruit and we decide that we're separate from God. So now what have we done? We have broken apart God. I don't know. When you break something, when you drop even to this day, it's no big deal if you drop a plate and it breaks. It's no big deal. But don't you think it's a big deal when it happens? So now when you look and say, well, can it be? No, can't be repaired. So if you think about this idea that our coming to separation broke apart a lot more than a plate. And so this very deep, deep guilt that we broke up. Now, listen, it says in the Course in Miracles many times that your place in God cannot be filled by anyone else. Just an idea. Your place in God can't be filled by anyone else, which means as long as we keep ourselves separate from God, God is incomplete. Now, I want to point out that if God is all there is, and nothing else is, then it is impossible. I mean, actually, in reality, then it would be impossible for us to hold ourselves out from God. It would be impossible for us to actually break the plate. Right? It's impossible. Because God is complete. God is complete. God is whole. God is all there is and nothing else is. But in our minds, and this is the important part, in our minds, we think we broke the plate. In our minds, we think we walked away from God. In our minds, we think actually, and this is really how serious it is, we think we supplanted God and became our own God. Not at a conscious level, at that subconscious level. And so here now, this is what it really means. At the bottom line, it means in our deluded minds, we believe we killed God. In the 70s, there was a saying going around all the time, oh, you're too young. It said, God is dead. And this is what the ego is saying. God is dead and I killed him. It's impossible. So all that guilt at a subconscious level that we have about this event that happened who knows how long ago in this time stream, all of that guilt, which generates all the other guilt that we experience in the conscious mind today, is all an illusion. Not guilty. You're not guilty. You're innocent. We're innocent. It never happened. But in our minds, in our movie, and this is, for me, it's comfortable thinking about it this way, that I'm just directing a movie. To my way of thinking, since I'm directing the movie, I would like to direct the movie of my life in such a way that it's a pleasant movie. It's got some excitement. It's got some drama. It's got some ups and downs, but not something horrendous. I would prefer not to have horrendous experiences in my movie. Well, sometimes I did. This is the other thing, by the way, is to remember that if you have had horrendous experiences in your movie, it's not your fault, but it is your direction. It did happen somewhere in your mind. It happened at your direction. So I know, because of the way guilt works, this is kind of an important point. Because of the way guilt works, we want to blame ourselves for those missteps, for those things that happened, but then on the other hand, we want to say, well, that can't possibly be right. I can't be responsible for getting sick. I can't be responsible for these events that occurred. I was totally outside of my control. It's not my fault. Again, the refrain, it's not my fault. But then, wait. It's all my fault. Played racquetball today with a guy that he epitomizes this for me, and when I watch him, I say it's very easy for me to say, that's me. This is me. This is what I'm doing, because every time something happens on the court that's not correct, he says, my fault. He just says it out loud. Oh, that was my fault. That was my fault. I should have been there. I should have been. And I go, would you quit it? Would you quit it? Quit saying that. And then I realize it's me saying it. No, I mean, he really does it, but it's me. I do the same thing. My fault. My fault. But then something else will occur. Your fault. Your fault. I'm looking. I want to look for that. I want to see. Give me an opportunity to see where it's your fault. It gives me some relief. It gives me some breathing space. So I don't have to keep saying that it's my fault. So this guilt that lies at this very core of us, it really doesn't matter that I'm telling you that it's not real. It doesn't really matter that I'm sitting up here saying not guilty. Because the fact of the matter is, we're going to get up from here and we're going to go out into the world. I'm going to do the same thing. And sometime today, I'm going to start feeling guilty about something. It's going to return. Because as long as we're in the world, as long as we're in the material world, we're going to, some things are going to trigger this underlying guilt, and it's going to come out. It's going to show itself. But the point of talking about it, the point of stating it and examining it and looking at it is to say that there is another way. There is another way. And what I believe is that all of us are on a path out of that cell that's underneath the jail, up the steps, into the light. And the dream that I had, is, for me, was it's really telling, because I can't do it by myself. This really is the point. I cannot escape the guilt by myself. I cannot escape the illusion by myself. You have to come with me. Okay, so here's where the rubber meets the road, and this is the hardest part of the lesson right now. This is it. Anytime I'm holding anybody else out, I cannot get out of the guilt. Anytime that I'm mad at someone or upset or judging, anytime that I'm seeing someone as less than, and I also want to point out, anytime that I'm seeing someone as more than, I've separated them from me now. I cannot get out of the guilt. I cannot come into the light as long as I am holding someone else out. And we all have someone. You may have thought of someone already. They'll do. That person who today, and it could change from day to day, could be someone who's been in your mind for years. But that person, that's the one that we have to forgive. That's the one that we have to take along with us. So here's the exercise to that is, I have to see the face of Christ in the person that I'm seeing, whatever you want to call it. I'm seeing evil in. I'm seeing anger in. I'm seeing threat in. I'm seeing disappointment in. Could just be mild irritation for a moment. I need to see the face of Christ in them. Remember the story that I told a couple weeks ago, that after the resurrection, all these people reported seeing Jesus, and not one of them knew him when they saw him. They had to look closer. Oh. It's like a light bulb went on in my head when I actually went back and read that. This is the point. Like, so here's really the thing, is that every person, everyone that I'm judging today, and look, I was going easy on you when I said there's one person. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. This is our exercise. We want to be free of guilt. Look for the risen Christ in every guilty face that you see today, including the one in the mirror. That's enough.